I don't know which it is. I don't know whether this shoe marks LeBron James and Nike hitting their stride with the LeBron 18s, because it's been a slow start to the shoe, but they're finally starting to find the colorways and find the different combinations that make them getting towards as cool as the 17s, but nothing will ever be as cool as the 17s because they were an absolutely beautiful shoe. But it's taken a while for them to find the right place, to find the sweet spot on these LeBron 18s. But finally, the last few colorways, they've really got it. They've really worked out the balance, the patterning, and the positioning, the branding and stuff like that. And then here come the LeBron Dunkmans, and they're iconic for the LeBron line. Ever since LeBron 2s, all the way back at LeBron 2s, they had a Dunkman shoe, and they've kept it going. It's been a consistent shoe throughout the whole Nike LeBron sort of lineage. And here we are today with the LeBron 18s coming out, and there's a few really interesting things that are worth looking at on the shoe. The history, the shoes from the past. I've chosen 3, including that LeBron 2, but 2 more, and can you guess which 2 from the history of LeBron's I think, mark the sort of heritage of this shoe, because sometimes the colours are a little bit different on these Dunkmans, but in the case of these guys, it's that black and green. And what black and green ones from the past have there already been? And there's one detail on this shoe that I hadn't noticed before, and I've done maybe 6 or 7 LeBron 18 videos, but one detail that I hadn't noticed before, but because of this colorway, that detail really popped out and really drew my eyes to it, and I saw it for the very first time, even though it's been staring me in the face all this time. So without further ado, let's get into all that and take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike LeBron 18 Dunkman. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channelです。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください。Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today, what we've got in the spotlight and the headlights is a LeBron 18. Like I say, I've done a few of those shoes. LeBron shoes, I've done plenty of those, especially the 17s, which is one of my favorite shoes of all time. And I've been critical of the 18s, especially towards the start when they first came out, towards the autumn, sort of winter, or late autumn, early winter last year. And I was kind of like, wow, that's a big letdown from the 17s, but they've started to really get it going. And I wonder if they waited until they got it going at the line and worked out the LeBron 18s before they came into this, one of the iconic repeating colorways from the LeBron line, the Dunkman, or if it's because of a shoe like this that they've been able to finally get it right. I don't know which came first, chicken or the egg. Did the Dunkman come first and then working out the 18s, or did they work out the 18s and then brought out these Dunkmans? But we're going to have a look at the shoe and go through all the different parts of it that are very, very cool. And like I said, there's those 2 particular things that I want to talk about, which is which shoes from the previous 17 LeBrons do I think have been sort of the precursor to these ones, and then that one detail that really drew my eye because of the way of this colorway. So first things first, we already talked about the 2s, which were the first LeBron Dunkman, because they didn't do it for the 1s, and it's not that close to today's colorway, but it's not that far away. There are some Dunkman colorways that are very, very different from this black base with hits of green on it, and you can kind of see that in those 2s there, but I wanted to start with that one because that's where the whole lineage of these Dunkmans started. But then I want to jump to this. That right there, as you out there probably do know, is the LeBron 7 Dunkman. And that for me was when they really kind of worked it out with this colorway and this particular line for the LeBron shoes. And that's kind of iconic. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a retro of that coming out sometime pretty soon. Last year they were bringing out the 10-year anniversaries of the 7s quite a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little delay, a little hangover, and they bring out the LeBron 7 Dunkman. But that's from the past, and you can see that black base with the green hits on it really working it out in the same way that today's 18s do. And then we go forward to one more. The other shoe that I want to go with is the 9s, which also for me is very true to this black base and the green on there as well. Now there are other shoes, there've been other shoes and the other numbers from 2 through 17 to talk about, but there's the particular ones that really for me tell the story of the Dunkman, especially in this colorway. And then we'll be taking a look at today's shoe and finding all the hits on there. Now I could make you wait, but I'm gonna dive right in and start with the feature that I hadn't noticed before. So I'm looking at the medial side here, and I'm gonna zoom in on it, and hopefully you're thinking, which feature is it that I hadn't noticed before? And gradually as the camera gets closer and closer, what we're going for is towards the middle section of the shoe, which might be called the quarter line on any other shoe, but maybe not on these guys. There's that jagged edge between the midsole and the upper, and you can see it's clear as day on this shoe that you never really got to see it before, where you've got the midsole coming up in that translucent green in a jagged edge, almost like a mountain range. And then because that's backdropped on the black of the upper, it really stands out and really sticks out on the shoe, which it hasn't done in the previous Lebron 18 colorways that I've looked at. Things like the LA by night, LA by day, especially, and it's worth talking about the multicolor. It was a grade school shoe, but we talked about that recently, and I never really saw it, never really popped out for me, that jagged edge, but because of the way the colors play off each other on this particular shoe, then it really came together for me, and I really got to see that jagged edge on the medial side. So to answer the two questions, it was the LeBron 2s, the LeBron 7s, the LeBron 9s, the Dunkmans from previous years that really make me think about this shoe today. And then on that medial side, it's that jagged edge that comes up from the outsole, wrapping it onto the midsole there, and because of that green on black. Now we're going to go back to those multicolored here, because one of the features of the multicolors was that when you look from afar, they look very pink, but when you zoom right in on the guys, they kind of reveal a lot more different colors going on within that, because it's multicolor, obviously. But then we come back to today's shoe, and there's no secrets in this. You can see from afar, looking out distant, hopefully what we're looking at here is maybe the lateral side. It looks like a green shoe, it looks like a black shoe with green flecks on it. And as we zoom in on that and get closer to it, you can actually see it is a black shoe with green specks on it, and there's no real secrets going on in there, and that upper reveals itself in a very simple way, which is fine. It's not, it's kind of refreshing in a way, because there's nothing complicated about it, there's nothing hidden about it, and especially when you go forward towards the start, the front of the shoe, this is a feature on LeBron 18s. It's always, in my opinion, consistent, but it's interesting because there's something that's not, and it's consistent because the colorway is usually matched in that front little swoosh on the toe box there. So the colorway on these guys with the green and the black, and they've gone with the green swoosh on the front there. But what usually isn't consistent is the medial side swoosh. And if we go around to look at that, you can see that is consistent. So it's not uncommon, it's not completely unusual for the two swooshes to match up, but often you'll see a different swoosh on there. But on the case of these guys, it's just those two colors they've gone for. Sometimes you'd see, say, a pink swoosh, for example, on the medial side, but it's basically a black and a green sneaker, and that's it. No extra hits, and it's actually simplicity that makes it a great looking shoe. Another place to go have a look at in simplistic terms is if we go to the tongue and the lacing system there, those three air units that run up the length of the tongue. You can see very subdued. I've talked about this in previous videos about how they have a choice to make here, whether they go with something contrast and popping or something that complements the rest of the shoe. In the case of these guys, they've complemented the rest of the shoe. Black upper, black air units on there, and it really helps the black tongue, because the real neat feature that pops off of these guys is right at the top of the tongue there, that lion on there. You can see the green eyes really popping out of the black tongue, which is a nice little feature on the shoe. And then if we travel down the lateral side and get towards the back end of the shoe, another interesting feature on these guys is simpler than usual, but because of its simplicity, it looks really good. Now it's going to be hard for me to explain, but hopefully it looks okay on the green screen here. But often what you'll see is on the midsole section of the shoe, there's a little panel on the front that is often a different color, like gray or pink or something like that. And then again, that panel is echoed on the back, and it says brought to you from the city of Akron, I think is what it says in there. And usually they're in different colors, but for this shoe, it's a black midsole, and those tiny little stripe panels that usually run horizontally in there and are different colors are not. They're also in black, and that's another reason why this shoe, for me, is a better take on the LeBron 18s than many of the previous ones, because it is less complicated, and little details like that are solid as opposed to being, in contrast and popping off of the shoe. So then the last thing to look at, I think, if I'm right, is we flip them upside down, have a look at the outsole, where the main feature and the story of the shoe is. It's called a Dunkman, and there's a Dunkman. It's a translucent green outsole, which is very nice, very clean front to back, the whole thing, and then looks through onto a very light midsole, except for that one area, which is right towards the toe. You've got a large Dunkman at the front there, and I've just realized the Dunkman. Oh man, now I do this when I do these videos, is that my mouth's working faster than my brain, and sometimes when I watch the videos back, I realize I said something that I shouldn't have said. I wonder if I said Jumpman at all in any of these when I should have said Dunkman. And you know what I'm going to do? If I did say Jumpman, I'm going to leave it in. I'm not going to try and cleverly edit it out in some clever way. If I said Jumpman, my bad, but I hope I didn't. But anyway, the Dunkman on the front, on the toes there, hopefully that's what I've been saying throughout this video, being the name of the shoe and the feature, the iconic graphic for LeBron James as opposed to Michael Jordan. But that's a good place to finish with that translucent outsole and the big Dunkman on the front of these guys. So we go back and have a look at the shoe as a whole. One big shoe. It's a beautiful looking shoe. Like I said, it feels like the LeBron 18s finally are hitting their stride and hitting the sweet spot. And it's a great looking shoe, and it's great lineage, great history with the previous Dunkmans. That there have been, which this is it's right up there with its peers in the previous lines. So for now, though, it's time for me just to sign off to finish up the video and say thank you guys for checking out the content. I'm really trying to get things going. I don't know if you heard a bit of rumbling and noise going on in the background there, because Mrs. Butter was rumbling around in the background. I don't know if the noise infiltrated the video, but that's life, real life, here at the Talking About It 23 Sneakers channel. For now, though, time for me to sign off and just do what I do at the end of every video, which is thank you guys for checking out the content, but I'll remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.